Alright, hi everyone, welcome back to PKFX YouTube trading channel. So this will be a quick trade update where I've closed out 2 trades in profits. Third trade is still running in profits and I'm looking to enter another trade. So I'll discuss very quickly over here. First of all is this AUDJPY trade. So this trade I've already secured the profits, but the way that I secured the profit was a little bit unexpected. I was already in profits when the trade was over here up to 1 to 3 risk to reward, and at that point of time I decided to move my stop loss. I've mentioned that previously my plan for this particular trade is to see AUDJPY to continue to rally upwards, break this resistance area into a support, and then have some candle closures above here, pull back down and reconfirm this area as a support, and then continue to trend upwards. I believe overall AUDJPY, that is what it has been doing, and it will continue to rally upwards. This is my expectation for the direction. However, this particular trade, as I mentioned, it was a jackpot trade that I managed to enter at a perfect sniper entry point over here due to the news. And ever since then, the market has been ranging and eventually broke out, and it was at a 1 to 3 risk to reward. Now, what happened is I went down to the 30 minutes time frame, and when that particular incident happened, right, the market was literally rallying out here. In fact, in my time zone, when I woke up, I saw the market above here and I saw the 30 minutes candle, if I really zoom in, already closed out up to this location over here. So at that point of time, I was pretty confident saying that, hey, the market is going to continue to rally upwards. It was probably due to news or something else, but this is a very strong upward momentum. So what I did is I moved my stop loss all the way to over here to say I'm closing out with a 1 to 3 risk to reward, right? So to be fair, the ideal location that I should have placed my stop loss if I were to trail the 30 minutes candlestick should be somewhere down here, right? Somewhere down here where it's below the 30 minutes candlestick. And in case if the market has to pull back, right, it would have closed out below here, right, which will shift the 30 minutes structure. So this area over here should be the valid stop loss point. So why did I put over here? I did have some expectation that if the market comes back down, it will bounce over the round psychological number of 114.000 and continue to rally upwards, making this as the new structure point. So I could have easily moved the stop loss over here as well. So I would say at this point of time, randomly moved the stop loss to a 1 to 3 because that is what I initially aimed for, securing what my initial plan was. What I didn't expect was that unfortunate candle that printed out in the opposite direction immediately when it went all the way up here, and you can see this 30 minutes candlestick literally wiped me off. In fact, it wicked all the way down here. So in a way, I would say I'm happy that I managed to close out at a exact 1 to 3 close plus minus if I were to count out the swaps and everything, but still I managed to avoid this entire dump, which I completely did not expect, right? But if I go to the 4-hour candlesticks over here, right, we can clearly see that this was only a 1 candlestick dump, similar to this kind of dumps. And then the market continued to range. In fact, it's slowly progressing upwards anyway. But what I see now is there is no point in me re-entering this trade. What is planned has already been done, and whatever the market does thereafter, it doesn't matter, right? So now if the market continues to dump downwards, come back to this particular area, then I may be interested to buy again. Or it goes above this area, retests and confirms this area to continue rallying upwards, then I'll be interested to buy again. But right now, there is no entry points for me because technically the daily is still bearish and the 4-hour is still bearish. So if I really zoom out to the daily, can clearly see that this is still valid. The market has not really done anything. Yes, the pattern looks like it's clearly holding this daily EMA and probably going to continue to rally upwards, but I really don't know. Like, I was expecting this candle closure over here, but this candle closure ended up as just a strong wick, which indicates that, hey, this area is actually very strong. So I will see what the market has to do thereafter, but I've closed this trade at a 1 to 3 risk to reward in profits, and I've updated the journal over here. So I mentioned here for the results, right? The market activated my buy limit and wicked back above the daily EMA. Saw opportunity to move the stop loss to break even, as this trade was due to sudden news event and not purely strategy. Market continued to range for some time before rallying upwards and gave me the opportunity to move the 1 to 3 risk to reward, the stop loss, right? So unfortunately, market had a huge 4-hour candle dump which stopped me out from the trade at 1 to 3. Could not hold further, but it's okay, as entry for this trade was based on market position and news event and not confluence. So this is a decent win. So remember when I initially said that it was not due to confluences, it was not due to the strategy, but purely because of the news event and the market position. So having a 1 to 3 risk to reward win, I think is still great. So that is AUDJPY. Now the next trade that I closed off was USDCHF. So if I were to move to USDCHF, this trade, so this particular trade was going on well. In fact, it was very close to my TP. The reason I closed it, right, was because if I were to look at the 4-hour candlestick, this was the lower low, and over here this was the lower high. And when this candle printed, it literally broke the structure point, making the 4-hour higher high and the 4-hour higher low over here, changing the direction of the 4-hour into a buy. The moment that happened, this trade, the probability shifted, right? So right now, yes, the trade has been going down into my direction anyway, but the probability when I entered the trade, when the 4-hour was a sell, right? When the 4-hour started being a sell all the way down here, right? Changing here when it's already almost close to my TP back to a buy, now changes the complete probability of the trade itself. So when the trade came back down over here, I took it that it is retesting this previous structure point before bouncing upwards. So this is again a probability whether it's going to bounce upwards or it's going to bounce back down. What I did is I took the profit halfway, because I see here I aimed for 1 to 2.5, but I closed it around 1 to 4, 1 to 1.4. So for me, it is still valid. The trade did play out accordingly, and this could just be the reversal point. I wouldn't know, but a change in the 4-hour structure back to a buy is a red signal for me that, hey, you know what, might as well I secure the profit while the market is still giving me. Now, can this trade continue to rally downwards? Yeah, definitely, because if I look at the 2-hour, the EMA, the candle came back, purely touched the 2-hour EMA and then reversed back down again. Right now, to be fair, this is the 2-hour higher high, this is the 2-hour higher low. So 2-hour is technically a buy. The 1-hour is technically a buy as well. And if I go to 30 minutes, probably it shifted. Yeah, 30 minutes has already shifted to a sell. But the 1-hour and 2-hour and the 4-hour and the daily is now a buy. So technically this making me, I'm going against the current immediate trend very strongly. So I don't know if the market is going to just go ahead and hit my TP, or it's going to just range over here and eventually move upwards, killing off all the gains. So for me, the best decision to do for this particular trade is say that, hey, market has given me this much, great, I'll secure the capital and move to the next trade. There'll always be the next trade, right? So I'm happy with this particular trade, and I'm going to say this was the risk to reward, and I took profits in this particular trade. Now, 1 to 4 risk to reward, that's another win I secured, and I updated the trade as well as another win, right? I've updated over here the results. I mentioned this was an excellent trade where market went to 1 to 2 before the 4-hour shift of structure into a buy. Since the risk to reward was 1 to 2.25, I did not take profit yet while I'm still waiting for it to hit my entire 1 to 2.25. It only came all the way to 1 to 2, right? So I moved the stop loss to be in profits once it was already reaching 1 to 2. So this one is just explaining my mind back there when the trade was playing out and when it was almost here, right, but haven't hit the TP yet. I saw this movement and I said, you know what, I'm going to bring down my stop loss to secure at least a good amount of profits. And I saw some structure points over here. I was like, okay, fine, as long as I'm keeping it above here, it's still fine, and let's see how the market plays out. But the moment the 4 hours shifted, right, this is no longer valid, because I know that it can easily come back and take out my stop loss, and if the market is giving me slightly more, why not, right? So that's what I did. If I were to maintain my stop loss here, I would have secured 0.5, 1 to 0.5. So the risk to reward is still not ideal, right? You don't even have 1-to-1 risk to reward, but you know that you are closing it in a small profit than to take losses that is going to pay for the swap fees and commissions and all that stuff. So this is fine. But the moment the 4 hours shifted, this is no longer fine. So that is behind what I was thinking, and I documented that as well so that I understand what moves am I making, right? So over here I mentioned 4 hour also shifted to the buy, so the probability has now shifted, placing the daily and the 4 hour as a buy, not in my favor. Hence I decided to take profit upon 4 hour retesting the previous structure point. As simple as that, right? So one thing I want to highlight to myself and to you watching over there is we try not to manage the trade too much unless something significant happens, right? So if a 30 minutes shift of structure happens during your move towards the downside, when you are trying to sell the market, it is not significant yet, because the lower time frame they can keep shifting buy sell multiple times. But a change in the 4 hour itself, now you are starting to have a shift in the higher time frame. Now that is a concern, right? So if the 4 hour did not change, I wouldn't have closed out this trade. To be fair, I would have just let the trade run all the way down. Because the 4 hour shifted, hence I have to manage the trade, I have to manage the risk because the probability has shifted, hence I closed the trade. So I want to make this clear that these are some of the things that I'm doing where I'm managing the trades, I'm managing the stop losses, I'm moving the stop losses, I'm taking I would say reasonable profits once the market structure shifts. Not the narrative, not the sentiment, not what's happening in the news, but purely candlestick price action. And when I see the candlesticks are talking to me, I'm taking the decision accordingly. For me, this is still a win because I managed to secure 1 to 1.4 and I'm still following my trade. Now, the third trade right now that is currently ongoing is GBPUSD. For this particular trade as well, I have decided to move my stop loss to somewhere around halfway through over here, because I'm only willing to risk halfway through from now. And the reason is because when I saw the trade was over here, I was expecting the candle to close above here and making a new higher high and a new higher low, because this is the current higher high, and if I look all the way down here, this is the current higher low. So technically 4 hour is still a buy. The market has only been ranging, right? But what happened is, because it created a doji candlestick and a reversal pattern like this, right, the market in the lower time frame shifted completely. So if I go back to the 1 hour candlestick, you can see that the market clearly tapped the 4 hour, but it didn't break and reversed all the way down, and it broke the previous 1 hour higher low. This was the 1 hour higher high, and this was the 1 hour higher low, and this candle over here closed below, making the 1 hour now technically a sell. So at that point of time, the 1 hour and the 30 minutes was a sell, right? So it increased the chances of the market to continue to dump down. But I didn't close the trade yet, because technically 4 hour is still bullish, and technically the market just came back to retest the round psychological number, which in turn actually helped. This move over here was completely unforeseen. It created another doji over here and now started rallying back upwards, right? So that shifted back the 30 minutes candlestick into a buy. In fact, if I go back to the 1 hour, the 1 hour is technically still bearish, right? Unless this candle closes above this candle, then the 1 hour will be bullish. And if the 4 hour candlestick also closes above here, that would be a great indication that the market is going to continue to rally. Now, I decided to put the stop loss halfway through because I wanted to secure or risk only halfway of my total risk amount, because the trade went all the way to my direction and eventually came back all the way down. I don't know if it's coming back to retest my area of interest and then continue to rally upwards, right, making this as a support, or this is the high and it's probably never going to break this high. I wouldn't know, right? But as long as the higher time frame, weekly, daily for a 4 hour is still bullish, the market should continue to rally upwards. And if I look at the 2 hour candlestick, even the 2 hour candlestick, this is the higher high, and this is the higher low. So the market haven't even come back or broke the 2-hour candlestick as well. So 2 hours still a buy, but 1 hour is a sell, right? This was already broken. This is the new 1 hour lower low, and this is the lower high. So technically 1 hour is still a sell. Anything can happen. So the trade, the probability now shifted a little bit, right? So I moved my stop loss. I rather risk this capital in a different trade. I'm going to continue to monitor, and if the trade is just going to buffer like this, that will reduce my confidence in this trade, and eventually I may just take profit so that I don't have to hold over the weekend. But if the trade is going to break above, then I will see how I'm going to manage this trade accordingly. My initial plan was this trade was to come back, retest, and rally all the way up, and I will see what's going to happen this evening. Probably I may take profit as well, or worst case scenario, now if it moves down, it's going to hit my stop loss, but I'm only risking half of the capital now because the probability shifted. Now this is GBPUSD, and I have not updated this particular trade. It's still ongoing over here. I'm looking for another trade potential, and this trade is EURGBP. Now EURGBP, this is potentially a fantastic trade. May just end up being next week's trade, I don't know yet. But why am I interested in this particular trade is because I see on the weekly a clear shoulder, head, shoulder, and a retest and a break towards the downside, right? And it broke, and right now this weekly EMA is also coming in over here, holding as a resistance. So I'm expecting the market to probably tap back over here and continue rallying downwards. This is a beautiful head and shoulder pattern on the weekly basis. And then if I go to the daily candlesticks, right, the daily is also a sell. This is the lower low, and this is the lower high. Market had a good amount of retracement, and now market is going back. Market came back to retest this area, changing it as a resistance and pushing back down, right? So daily is a sell as well, and 4 hour is also a sell. This is the lower low, and this is the lower high. Market came all the way up here, confirming this area as a potential resistance, and now it's starting to go back down. Now I tried to enter for this particular trade. Unfortunately, my sell limit was not activated at all. So what I did is I was tracking the 30 minutes candlesticks actually all the way from here, right? The market was a buy, and the market was pretty much ranging. It didn't break this high point or this low point. It didn't break that area at all until the market came over here and it broke, okay, making the 30 minutes as a buy, but I'm aiming for a sell. So it was buy. This was a higher high, higher low, higher high, and then it made a lower low. So if I were to look over here, this was the structure point where this is the lower point, this was the higher point, and the market, okay, at this particular candle, after passing through this particular doji candle, it dumped downwards. This was the break point of the 30-minute structure from a buy into a sell with a very strong engulfing candle. So I set my sell limit back then over here, to be exact, right? Because I was expecting the market to come back up here and then push back further downwards. Unfortunately, I think I missed it by a hair, right? Literally missed it by a hair. The market did not trigger my entry point, and I've been waiting ever since. Now, this is no longer the higher high, right? The market has already broken down, creating a new lower low. So this is technically a new lower high. I don't know if the market will come back just to, wick me in again before it rallies downwards, right? I could even try to enter over here, but I need to see how the risk to reward adjustment is. But this is turning out to be a fantastic sell with very good confluences, weekly, daily, 4 hour, everything is pretty much sell. So yeah, if I do not get to enter today, most probably this will be a trade that I'm interested in next week. But yeah, that's about it. So far, currently, 2 trades, AUDJPY closed as a win, USDCHF closed as a win, GBPUSD currently ongoing, and EURGBP I was interested in a sell, couldn't enter yet, looking for a potential entry point, and I'll keep eyeing them until today evening before I decide further. So that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for your time, and have a good day. Thank you.